Sri Sai Nadaya Namaha. Sri Sai Satcharitra in English version. I am in chapter 50. In this chapter, stories of Kaka Saheb Dikshit, Sri Tambeswami, Balaram Durandar. Chapter 50 of the original Satcharitra has been incorporated in chapter 39 as it dealt with the same subject matter. Now chapter 51 of the Satcharitra has been treated here as chapter 50. This chapter gives the stories of Kaka Saheb Dikshit, Sri Tambeswami and Balaram Durandar. Victory be unto Sai, who is the mainstay of the Bhaktas, who is our Sadguru, who expounds the meaning of the Gita and who gives us all powers. O Sai, look favorably on us and bless us all. The sandalwood trees grow on the Malaya mountains and ward of heat. The clouds pour their rainwater and thereby cool and refresh all the people. The flowers blossom in the spring and enable us to worship God therewith. So the stories of Sai Baba come forth in order to give solace and comfort to the readers. Both those who tell and those who hear the stories of Baba are blessed and holy. It is a well-established fact that though we try hundreds of means or sadhanas, we do not attain the spiritual goal of life unless a Sadguru blessed us with his grace. Here the following story is illustration of this statement. Kaka Saheb Dikshit, he born in the year 1864 till 1926 he lived. Mr. Hari Sitaram alias Kaka Saheb Dikshit was born in 1864 in a Vandanagar Nagar in a Brahmin family at Khandwa. His primary education was done at Khandwa, Hingan Ghat and secondary education at Nagpur. He came to Mumbai for higher education and studied first in the Wilson College and then in the Elphinstone College. After graduation in 1883, he passed his LLB and solicitor's examination and then served in the firm of the government solicitors Messrs. Little and Company, and then after some time started a solicitor's firm of his own. Before 1909, Sai Baba's name was not familiar to Kaka Saheb, but after that he soon became his great devotee. While he was staying at Lonavala, he happened to see his old friend Mr. Nana Saheb Chandorkar. Both spent some time in talking about many things. Kaka Saheb described to him how while he was boarding a train in London, he met with an accident in which his foot slipped and was injured. Hundreds of remedies gave him no relief. Nana Saheb then told him if he wished to get rid of the pain and lameness of his leg, he should go to his Sadguru Sai Baba. He also gave him all the particulars of Sai Baba and mentioned to him Sai Baba's dictum. I draw to me my man from far off or even across the seven seas like a sparrow with a string fastened to its feet. He also made it clear to him that if he was not Baba's man, he would not be attracted to him and given darshan. Kaka Saheb was pleased to hear all this and said to Nana Saheb that he would go to Baba, see him and pray to him to cure not so much his lame leg but bring round his lame, fickle mind and give him eternal bliss. Sometime after, Kaka Saheb went to Ahmednagar and stayed with Sridhar Kaka Saheb Mirkar in connection with securing votes for a seat in the Mumbai Legislative Council. Mr. Bala Saheb Mirkar, son of Kaka Saheb Mirkar, who was a Mamlatadar of Kopargam, also came at that time to Ahmednagar in connection with a horse exhibition. Thereafter, the election business was over. Kaka Saheb Dikshit wanted to go to Shirdi, and both the Mirkar's father and son were also thinking about a fit and proper person as a guide. While with whom he should be sent there. There Sai Baba was arranging things for his reception. Shama got a telegram from his father-in-law at Ahmednagar stating that his wife was seriously ill and that he should come to see her with his wife. Shama, with Baba's permission, went there and saw his mother-in-law and found her improving and better. Nana Saheb Panse and Appa Saheb Gadre happened to see Shama on their way to the exhibition and they told him to go to Mirikar's house, see Kaka Saheb Dikshit there and take him to Shirdi along with him. Kaka Saheb Dikshit and the Mirkars were also informed of Shama's arrival in the evening. Shama came to Mirkers, who introduced him to Kaka Saheb. They arranged that Shama should leave for Kopergaon with Kaka Saheb by the 10 o'clock night train. After this was settled, a curious thing happened. Bala Saheb Mirkar threw aside the veil or covering on Baba's big portrait and showed the going to meet at Shirdi. The same to Kaka Saheb. He was surprised to see that he whom he was going to meet at Shirdi was already there in the form of his portrait to greet him. At this juncture, he was much moved and made his prostration before the portrait. The portrait belonged to Megha. The glass over it was broken and it was sent to Mirkers for repairs. The necessary repairs had been already made and it was decided to return the portrait with Kaka Saheb and Shama. Before 10 o'clock, they went to the station and booked their passenger, but when the train arrived, they found that the second class was overcrowded and that there was no room for them. Fortunately, the god of the train turned out to be acquaintance of Kaka Saheb, and he put them up in the first class. Thus, they travelled comfortably and alighted at Kopergaon. Their joy knew no bounds when they saw their Nana Saheb Chandarkar, who was also bound for Shirdi. Kaka Saheb and Nana Saheb embraced each other, and then after bathing in the sacred Godavari river, they started for Shirdi. After coming there and getting Baba's darshan, Kaka Saheb's mind was melted. His eyes were getting Baba's darshan. His eyes were full of tears and he was overflowing with joy. Baba said to him that he was also waiting for him and had sent Shama ahead to receive him. Kaka Saheb then passed many happy years in Baba's company. He built a vada in Shirdi, which he made as his more or less the permanent home. The experiences he got from Baba are so manifold that it is not possible to relate them all here. The readers are advised to read a special number of Sri Sai Leela magazine. We close this account with the mention of the one fact only. Baba had comforted him by saying that in the end he will take him in a coach. This came out true. On the 5th July 1926, he was travelling in the train with Hemad Pant and talking about Sai Baba. He seemed deeply engrossed in Sai Baba. All of a sudden, he threw his neck on Hemad Pant's shoulder and breathed his last with no trace of pain and uneasiness. Sri Tambe Swami. We come to the next story, which shows how saints love each other with fraternal affection. Once Sri Vasudevanand Saraswati, known as Sri Tambe Swami, encamped at Rajamandri. On the banks of the Godavari, he was devout, orthodox, Jnani and Yogi Bhakta of the Dattatreya. One Mr. Pandalika Rao, pleader of Nanded, went to see him with some friends. While they were talking with him, the names of Shirdi and Sai Baba were casually mentioned. Hearing Baba's name, the Swami joined hands with reverence and taking a coconut gave it to Pundalika Rao and said to him, "Offer this to my brother Sai with my pranam and request him not to forget me but ever love me." He also added that Swamis do not generally bow to others, but in this case an exception had to be made. Mr. Pundalika Rao consented to take the coconut and his message to Baba. The Swami was right in calling Baba a brother, for as he mentioned as Agnihotri, day and night in his orthodox faction, Baba too kept his Agnihotri, Duni ever burning in the masjid. After 1 month, Pundalika Rao and others left for Shirdi with the coconut and reached Manmad, and as they left, felt thirsty, they went to a revolt for drinking water. As water should not be drunk on an empty stomach, they took out some refreshment, that is chivida. The chivida tasted most pungent, and in order to soften it, as someone suggested, to broke the coconut and mixed its scrapings with it. Thus they made the chivida more tasty and palatable. Unfortunately, the coconut turned out to be the same that was entrusted to Pundalika Rao. As they neared Shirdi, Pundalika Rao remembered that trust, that is a coconut, and was very sorry to learn that it was broken and consumed. He came to Shirdi and saw Baba. Baba had already received a wireless message regarding the coconut from Tembe Swami and himself asked Pundalika Rao first to give the thing sent by his brother. He held fast Baba's feet, confessed his guilt and negligency, repented and asked for Baba's pardon. He offered to give another fruit as a substitute, but Baba refused to accept it, saying that the worth of that coconut was far more than that of an. Baba also replied, "The ordinary one, now you need not worry yourself anymore about the matter. It was on account of my wish that the coconut was entrusted to you and ultimately broken on the way. Why should you take the responsibility of the actions on you? Do not entertain the sense of doership in doing good as well as for bad deeds. Be entirely prideless and egoless in all things, and thus your spiritual progress will be rapid. What a beautiful spiritual instruction Baba gave. Balaram Dhurandhar. Mr. Balaram Dhurandhar belonged to the Pathare Prabhu community of Sanchez, Mumbai. He was an advocate of the Mumbai High Court and sometime principal of the government law school. Balram served his community and wrote a publish on account of it. He then turned his attention to spiritual and religious matters. He studied Gita carefully and its commentary, Dhyaneshwari, and other philosophical and metaphysical works. He was a devotee of Vithoba of Pandharpur. He came in contact with Sai Baba in 1912. 6 months earlier, his brothers Babuji and Vaman Rao came to Shirdi and took Baba's darshan. They returned home and mentioned their sweet experiences to Balram and other members. Then they all decided to see Sai Baba before they came to Shirdi. Baba declared openly that today many of my Darbar people are coming. The Dhurandhar brothers were astonished to hear this remark of Baba from others, as they had not given any previous intimation of their trip. All other people prostrated themselves before Baba and sat talking with him. Baba said to them, "These are my Darbar people whom I referred to before," and said to the Dhurandhar brothers, "We have been with each other for the last 60 generations." All the brothers were gentle and modest. They stood with joined hands looking at Baba's feet. All the sattvic emotions such as tears, shocking, etc. moved them, and they were all happy. Then they went to their lodging, took their meals, and after taking a little rest again came back to Masjid. Balram sat near Baba, massaging his legs. Baba, who was smoking the chilim, advanced towards him and beckoned him to smoke it. Balram was not accustomed to smoking, still he accepted the pipe, smoked it with great difficulty and returned. Balram was not accustomed to smoking, but still he accepted the pipe, smoked it with great difficulty, returned it reverentially. This was the most auspicious moment for Balram. He was suffering from asthma for 6 years. This smoke completely cured him of the disease, which never troubled him again. Some 6 years later, on a particular day, he again got an attack of asthma. This was preciously the time when Baba took his Mahasamadhi. The day of the visit was Thursday, and the Dhurandhar brothers had the good fortune of witnessing the Chavadi procession that night. At the Aarti function in the Chavadi, Balram saw the glow of Panduranga on Baba's face, and next morning at the Kakada Aarti, the same phenomenon, the same luster of the beloved deity Panduranga was visible again on Baba's face. Mr. Balaram Dhurandhar wrote in Marathi in the life of the Maharashtra Saint Tukharam, but he did not survive to see its publication. It was published later on by his brothers in 1928 in a short note on Balaram's life given in the beginning of that book. The above account of Balaram's visit has been fully corroborated. Bo to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sri Sai Nadaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Nadaya Namaha.